What's up, studs and studettes? As always, I appreciate you guys over the last few weeks. Your ratings, your reviews, everything you guys have been doing has been awesome. And obviously, I'm going to tell you, we've had record days, we've had record weeks, and now we're at record months since you guys started getting engaged. I think we're up to like 85 or 90 reviews at this point. So I appreciate it. Obviously, I've really been kind of getting at you guys over the last few episodes, trying to get more ratings and reviews. So I just want to tell you guys I appreciate you. But today, we're going to be digging into the why, how to figure out your why, how to find your burn that makes you get out of bed every day. But I'm going to be honest, I'm fanboying a little bit today. Today's guest is somebody I've been following for probably 2 or 3 years. I heard him first on Andy Frizella's podcast. I think the MFCO was the first time I heard him, and I followed him. And, this guy is somebody, a lot of people look up to me like, Mike, you're so structured and organized and focused, and man, you get so much done. This is the person I look up to about that I think is more structured, more focused, and more organized than I am. But I've heard him speak. I've spoken at events with him now, and I've hired this person honestly to be my coach because I think it's important for me to continue to level up and be around people who can pull me to my next level. So I'm super excited to share this message with you guys today around the why and the burn from my coach now, Mr. Ben Newman.
Also, friend, you got to add friend.
I got to earn that though. I got to earn that. We're not there yet.
Hey, no, man. I'll tell you what, being able to share the stage down at Top Contractor School with Brian Hess was incredible. And I'll tell you, you took the stage, and watching you share your passion with the audience, I was like, this guy has it. And I just think it's incredible seeing everything that you're doing. So this is iron sharpens iron, and I'm excited to be with you and all the individuals that you continue to partner with, right? So it's really partnering all these people that are, on a podcast listening. You guys are in this fight together. So it's a partnership. And so I appreciate being with all of you.
And so Ben runs an organization called The Continued Fight. And it's really about motivation, inspiration, consistency. And I mean, I really appreciate everything you just said because like I try to live up to that image for myself and represent what a champion looks like every day. And you've been doing something, the unrequired, which is something I want to start with. I think it's kind of somewhat off topic, but you got to share this because I've been following it since like day 200, I think is the first time I saw you talking about it. And you're on day 750 something.
No, 727 as of today.
So talk about the unrequired.
Just 3 days away from 2 full years.
That's insane.
Crazy.
So talk about the unrequired and what you've been doing in 2 straight years of every single day is a level of dedication that I don't think many people can relate to.
Well, first off, we have to start before I share what this is. I want everybody to realize I'm human. The way that you've introduced me, now you're making me talk. Now you're making me talk about this first. Like I am human.
Nope.
I have doubt. I've got doubts. I've got fears. I've got uncertainties. I have 2 coaches myself. I read books every day. I am fighting to get better. But I have found, because of this burn, which we will get to later in the show, I just have this desire every day to want to look in the mirror and to be able to say I gave it my very best. And I want to be an example for my kids. I want to be an example. Mike, if you're trusting that we're going to work together and engage in a relationship to help you get to the next level, well, then I have to be showing up myself in my life. Otherwise, I'm a fraud as a coach and as an example. And so I admire your dedication, right? You have dedication. I have dedication, because for us as coaches, we have to do what we say we're going to do. And the unrequired started through a client of mine named Josh Kahneman at K-Build. So he and I decided that we were going to start doing this workout every single day. Really, the precipice for the whole thing was reading the book Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, which I know people can't see me, but I'm sitting in my office, and the book literally is, I can see it every time I walk into my office, because how he has pushed and challenged himself is so incredible. But the unrequired mindset is the mindset that other people can't see, they won't do, they don't want to talk about, that the highest performers choose to make a priority. So we all have the things that we know in our life we need to do to win the day, right? Win fast, win often, right? That's yours, Mike. To win the day, win fast. We know what we need to do. That's what's required. But if you really want to get to the next level, you have to determine what's the unrequired, the additional work. And some people get this confused so that I'll do that unrequired workout. It's like, no, you can do the unrequired workout after you've done your required workout, right? That's like saying, well, I'll just do the unrequired part of my work, but not the required work. Well, what's your performance going to be like? And so what has happened over these 727 days is that I used to take time off for working out. You'd work out some weeks, it'd be 5, sometimes it'd be 4. I've always stayed in shape. I've had to for my career in sports and in business, to be an example. But Josh and I decided we were going to do this workout, and it's 10 exercises, all body weight, except for some curls, all body weight, 10 exercises, and it takes 45 minutes. So this is not like I've done 30 push-ups every day for 727 days. It is a 45-minute workout. It's HIIT-based. It's 250 jumping jacks in a row, 250 air squats. And so that's what I've done for 727 straight days, in addition to my regular workouts. So like today, I lifted and I did the unrequired, right? And then on what used to be an off day, now all I have to do is the unrequired. That's an easy day. I only have to get in 45 minutes of work. But what it's done is it's really changed how I show up every day in all areas of my life.
Well, and I've watched you do this workout, and you don't hit it with like any less intensity, I imagine, than you've done it forever, right? Like, it's not like it's boring. Like, you don't half-ass it. Like, you go after that workout like it's almost the first time you've done it and you're excited about it 2 years later. And it's incredible to just see, like, I mean, we were at the hotel and you were doing that workout after I got back from a run, and you were going after it.
Well, so here you kind of, if you commit to this workout, you're kind of stuck because you can't half-ass jumping jacks, right? Like,
Yeah.
you can't fake a jumping jack. You can't fake planks, right? I mean, there's nowhere to hide, right? So there's literally, it's 9 minutes and 44 minutes of straight planking every day, reverse planking and regular standard plank. But where do you hide for a plank? There's no breaks. There's nowhere. So the workout is intended. I mean, you can't really hide. You have to give it everything that you've got.
And you're a busy dude, so you can't take an hour and a half with that workout some days. Like, you have to get it done in that 40 to 50 minutes every day, because like you live structured back-to-back meetings and travel and everything else. So it's incredible.
So let me mention something to that. I could give every excuse in the world. You could give excuses. Everybody listening could make excuses. But at some point in time, we have to give ourselves permission to just go for it. Give yourself permission to stop making excuses as to why you're not going to eat better, or why, I'm going to start eating better. But this week I had 4 birthdays, 3 anniversaries, and all the excuses in the world why you actually didn't start, but you said you were going to. Get out of bed. Stop making the excuse, well, I stayed up last night because of this. So at some point in time, and I'm being direct because I care that much, you have to give yourself permission to make change and then hold yourself accountable to doing it.
Well, and I think there's a certain part of it that you have to be okay that you're not going to enjoy everything you have to do to get where you want to be, right? Like, I got phase 3 for 75 hard starts for me next week. You're in the middle of it right now. I have 3 trips in that 30-day period. I know those are not going to be easy days, and I'm excited about it because I get to grow through this process now of being intentional and making things happen, where some people look at that and say, oh man, that's going to suck. Well, if you look at it that way, it's going to be easy to wake up that day that you're like literally projecting is going to be terrible. And it's going to be terrible because you make it terrible. You can go into it excited about the struggle, excited about the growth, excited about what you're going to learn about yourself in the process. I think it's just a mindset shift on the same event, the same issues, the same challenges, but you go into it with a significantly different approach from the way that you're mentally preparing for it.
So I've said for years, the price of greatness is sacrifice, right? So you having a travel schedule like that, if you are committed, you will have to make a sacrifice somewhere to honor that commitment, to check all the boxes that you have to check in order to complete phase 3 of 75 hard. There's no doubt in my mind you will do it. The easy thing is to make the excuses, and then we rationalize to people, but don't you understand why I couldn't do it? Because I had to do this? And it's like, well, sure. And I'm not saying this to impress anybody, it's to impress upon the point. I have learned that I have to do that workout in the morning in order to show up for you in this interview and be able to give my best. If I would have said, no, I'll just wait until tonight, I don't feel like it this morning. If I wake up and say, I don't feel like it, then I'm a fraud, as I mentioned earlier, to following through and doing what I say I'm going to do. So I actually had this is a story for Mike, not for all of you. But so I had a construction visit for Wanzik Construction. So it's a major wind and solar company that I do work for. And I go to either a huge solar project or a wind project every month. I was going to Farmington, Maine. And because of commitments the day before and the day after, I had to do it in the same day. And the first time I had to speak was 6:30 a.m. in Farmington, Maine. I live in St. Louis, Missouri. The plane was taking off at 2 o'clock in the morning. The pilot was willing to do it at 2 a.m. to make it work for me. I woke up at 12:15 in the morning to make sure that I could do my unrequired. And so, yes, that was a tremendous sacrifice. But how could I have possibly, and I know that sounds extreme to people, but if you want it bad enough, you may have to get extreme in order to prove to yourself that you can. And I knew that if I was going to speak to 400 people working on a 200-acre solar site who have been away from their families for months building a solar project across the whole country, I'm going to skip my workout? No, I'm going to do my workout so I can honor my commitment because I know they're making a bigger sacrifice than me. So a lot of times it's perspective, and it's just getting rid of the excuses.
Which I think is a good kind of bridge into the real kind of what I want to get out of this conversation is finding that why, finding that burn, finding that thing that allows you to accept the sacrifice, look for it, lean into it, right? Because you have a much bigger purpose for why you do what you do. And I want to give a little context for somebody who may not know who you are. Like, you are the mindset coach for D1 football schools, Fortune 100 companies, professional athletes, major CEOs. Like, you are the guy that the guy goes to when they're trying to get better. Right. And I'm looking at, yeah, you have a book on your desk, but you also have a bunch of national championship football rings and signed jerseys and signed footballs and basketballs. Yeah, that book's really cool, but you have like a dozen national championship rings above it. Right. And so like you take this to a whole new level. Like, you're the guy people bring in when they're almost out of other options. Right. And you've earned some of that. But where did that come from? Like, you didn't just wake up one day and say, I'm the mindset coach for Alabama football. Like, Nick Saban's my friend. That doesn't happen just overnight. Your why, your burn had to have been there before that. So I'm going to let you get as deep into that story as you'd like. But my goal is to help people try to figure out for themselves, how are they accumulating those life experiences and turning it into that fire that gets them going? Because I think like your story is obviously next level. I've heard it now, in person, but how do you like get other people to figure that out for themselves who maybe don't have that same path?
Well, first off, I think, and I'm actually going to answer this differently than I ever have with all the interviews that I've ever done. I think it's just the way that you frame that and asked. I'm going to literally answer this question different than I ever have. One of the problems that I think, and I think it's just, I love your intensity so much. We match intensity, so it's causing me to be even more intense than I normally am. I think one of the problems in society is we're always looking to somebody else's example. Let me go be like Mike Claudio. Let me go be like Ed Milet. What does he do that I need to do? And I think it starts with you. Why the hell do you want to do it? What is it inside of you that makes you want to be the best you? What is it inside of you that's going to want you to have the opportunity? Because this is winning to me. Yes, their national championship rings above my head right now, but winning is your ability to look in the mirror every single day and say, today I gave it my very best. If you can do that, nobody can ever take that away from you, and nobody can ever ask any more of you than your very best. To me, that's winning. If you show up and do that consistently, the byproduct is tremendous success. So stop worrying about other people and go focus on you. That's number one. Number two, There are so many coaches and speakers that they talk about why and they talk about purpose, which is so unbelievably important. It's driven me my whole life. But what I have now found in having conversations with some of the top performers in the world in sports and in business is that it goes way deeper than the why. Every single individual actually has what I call the burn. And the burn is a fire inside of you. It's where your clarity comes from. It's where the most extreme levels of intensity and clarity come from that actually fuel and ignite your why and your purpose, that then causes you to take the necessary action and to get obsessed with the process, the required, the unrequired, doing the work so that you can look in that mirror. And there aren't enough people talking about this burn and this fire. And yes, the burn is, it's a new term to my podcast, and we called it the burn. But at the end of the day, go read books of high performers. Some of them call it it. There's this thing inside of me in my belly. I don't know what to call it, but there's just this thing. And so everybody has it. And I believe that the real opportunity for everybody listening, if you're not doing this already, is to identify what truly drives you, the white hot reason why. And starting tomorrow, challenge yourself for 30 days. Before you do anything else, when you wake up and you get the blessing of your feet hitting the floor, don't allow the world to dictate your next action move. You control your mindset, connect to your burn, and take control of your life. And I believe it starts with that deep-rooted connection to your burn and clarity that ignites that why and that purpose.
All right, so I don't disagree with anything you just said, but I'm going to play devil's advocate for a minute, because I know where most people's mindset just went. Ben, I'm around a bunch of people that I'm better than. I'm already exceeding the expectations I had for my life. I'm 35, I'm 40. I've made a few $100,000. I'm more successful. I look to guys like Ed and Andy and you, and I'm using you as the example. So I want to be like you, but I don't even know how to accept what that it factor is for me, because I don't know who I really am. And so that's where I'm seeing a lot of people in that delta between where they are and where they're capable of, the burn, accepting it, is they view it as, I use anxiety as my trigger, right? Anxiety for me means I'm skewing away from the burn. I'll use your term here. Like anytime I've skewed away from the burn, my anxiety flares up. It's my body telling me, bro, you're not listening. And the further I get away, the worse it gets. But for some people, they don't even comprehend that next gear. So for somebody saying, okay, Ben, I'm going to show up tomorrow. I'm going to take control of my life. But control for me is I'm already better than everybody around me. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. I don't know how to chase more. How do you get somebody to kind of shift into that next gear? Because everybody has that next gear. Like it's like every Fast and Furious movie. I don't know how it happens, but they're always friggin' gearing up. I don't know how they do it. They can be gearing up, just shifting gears up forever, right? Like you watch those movies, they're always shifting up. I don't understand. But how do you help somebody determine that like they actually have that next gear and dig deeper? Because I think it's gonna be hard for people to say, hey, great idea, I'll start tomorrow. But like, now what? How do you get somebody?
So there's two things. Let me clarify one, and then I'll answer that question directly. So the clarification piece is you don't have to go be anybody else, but you have to have examples and mentors, right? So for me, my mentor is a guy named John Gordon. When I came into this business, John helped me massively. He's a best-selling author of a book called The Energy Bus. I mean, the book's been around for 15 years, and it still makes the Wall Street Journal bestseller list every damn week. It's great. It's absolutely crazy. It's like every week he still makes the bestseller list with one of his first major books. And now any book that he writes, he just wrote one with PJ Fleck called Row the Boat. So now Row the Boat was #2 and Energy Bus was #7 last week on the Wall Street Journal bestseller list.
That's crazy.
So he's a mentor to me. And I always tell John this. I met him in February of 2008. He's mentored me for 13 years. I said, John, keep attacking it. Keep giving me an example of what my next level looks like. And this is not a non-motivational statement. I believe in having a mentor that you'll never catch. I always tell them, like, keep going, because you're providing an example for me that you're 10 years ahead of me in this. So if you're 10 years ahead of me and I keep growing, Every time we go, it's been 10 years. If you kept growing and I keep growing, I'm going to wind up in an okay place. And so that's number one. I'm not saying don't worry about anybody else, but I don't have to be John. Be yourself and attack your best you on that journey with an example that somebody provides of what it looks like to show up and to get after it.
Okay.
Second thing is, here's a question that you hear this from young people a lot, right? Because the easy thing is, well, I just don't know. Grab your future and bring it to today, right? So the young person who's listening right now, who's 25 years old, I don't know what I want. Okay. When I was 25 years old, I was a financial advisor for Northwestern Mutual, Fortune 100 financial firm. That's actually where I cut my teeth, really cut my teeth professionally. I was a paper broker for 3 years, like Steve Carell out of The Office. But then I was a financial advisor, and I'll never forget, 25 years old. And one of the goals that I wrote down was, I want to be able to pick up my kids from school whenever I want to wearing sweats. And one of the reasons why, it just motivated me, and I wanted people to look at me and be like, does that dude have a job? Right? And so like that was just one of the fun visuals of many that I thought about. So at 25 years old, when I was telling myself that, guess what, everybody? I was single, didn't even know my wife, and I didn't have kids. So I had grabbed my future, I brought it to today and said, that's going to be me. And once again, I don't say this to impress you, I say it to impress upon the point. I used to love it when I would pick my kids up at school in sweats and have people looking at me like, I don't think this dude freaking works. And so for me, it was one of those things like that motivated me. So on the days that I didn't want to do it, I'm like, if I want to be that dad who's in sweats, and it was actually deeper than that, that was the fun part. I wanted to go to their doctor's appointments. I wanted to go to their dentist appointments. My son is 13, my daughter's 11. I bet I haven't missed 10 total doctor's appointments in their entire lives. And so like, that's just part of what I wanted. So I wanted to work hard enough to have that. But I had to grab my future and tell myself that's the life that I wanted, a life of being present with my family, when I didn't even know who the woman was that I was going to marry and have the kids with. And so I think for all of you, grab your future and bring it to today. Rather than making an excuse or telling me you don't have clarity, turn off your cell phone, turn off your iPad, turn off your computer, take a blank piece of paper and tell me what you want your future to be.
That's as simple as you can make it, sir. I think people overthink and overcomplicate anything, from
there's no doubt
how to post on social media, to how to introduce themselves, to how to make a prospecting call, to how to approach an employee, to how to figure out what they want their future to be. They overcomplicate. I mean, I'm just as faulty as anybody else is.
I think, one of the amazing things, everybody listening, I want everybody to listen. Think of the single time in your life where you would say, I was most successful. You might be living in that moment right now. Maybe it's when you were a collegiate athlete, whatever it is. This is when I was most successful. What did you do every day in order to feel and to create my most successful life? It was probably some basic decisions and choices that you repeated over and over and over again. It's not some sophisticated model and process, and we need to read a bunch of dissertations. Really great athletes work on their mind and they work on their body and they do what they say they're going to do. Really great entrepreneurs, business owners, business professionals, they identify what it takes to engage with a client, to secure a new client, and they do those little action steps that it takes every day with more consistency than the people who are struggling in their business. The people who are struggling, it's not because you haven't read the dissertation or done the 100 million hours of research. It's because you're not showing up and doing what you know you need to do to be successful in your business.
We'll let people let that sit for people for a few minutes, because it's powerful. It's the number one reason people struggle is they start to lose confidence in themselves because they don't hold those commitments. Like, they know what they're supposed to be doing. They know the calls they need to make. They know the investments they need to make. They know the activity they need to get done, and they don't, and they start to lose that confidence. And then so it kind of snowball effects, and it gets worse and it gets worse, and they start second guessing themselves, and they have a great idea and then immediately have 29 reasons it won't work because they just physically can't believe that they would actually follow through on this one. And no, it's incredibly powerful.
So I'm sure there's a lot of people, right, who are following your example, which I admire you getting ready to start on July 1st, phase 3. I'm on day 18 of phase 3. And I joke with Purcell all the time. I'm like, Andy, how many people do you legitimately think have actually completed all 3 phases of 75 hard? I mean, it's got to be a very small percentage. And I'm not saying everybody has to do all the phases, but even if you just take 75 hard, for those of you who are listening who have done 75 hard, I share this example all the time when somebody tells me they're doing it, because I'll talk to somebody and they'll say, I'm doing 75 hard, but then they'll tell me how they're struggling in their business. And I'll say, okay, wait a second. So whatever day you're on in 75 hard, right? For those of you that have done it, you know, the app is amazing, right? It's the most beautiful app because Andy understands the psychology of like everything in life. The dude's a master of the mind. And so he knew if I build an app, every time somebody clicks the circle, I did my first workout, it's a shot of dopamine. It's a shot of confidence. I just did what I said I was going to do. It freaking feels good, and I'm on my way to completing 75 hard. So whether you're on phase 3 like I am, where it seems like I'm checking the box 10, 12 times a damn day with talking to strangers and random acts of kindness and all these wild things we're doing, or back to just doing the 75 hard, you never miss it. You would never not check the box because you go back to day 1. Yet we could have this conversation and go through what I just said. Some people with great consistency, they don't show up and do what they, because you don't go back to day 0 in life. In life, if you say, for me to be great, I need to do, I call them POCs, you know that, like points of contact, text message, email, phone call. I secure a new client or speaking or coaching, or if I sell widgets, I sell more widgets to a new client if I do 10 POCs a day. So you know you have to do 10. Yet all the time you do 5 or 6 because you got so busy. But you don't go back to day 1 when you only do the 5 or the 6. So why is it in 75 hard you complete 75 hard and check the damn boxes? Because you ain't going back to day 1. But in the real world, in your business, you just let yourself off the hook. And I've never understood how somebody could be doing 75 hard, but have shitty discipline in their business at the same time. And Coach Saban always tells us that it's impossible. So Coach Saban at Alabama, he's chapter 1. I've got a new book called Uncommon Leadership releasing August 3rd.
I pre-ordered it. I just want to put it. I pre-ordered it. Everybody should pre-order it. Go ahead.
It's on Amazon. It's on Amazon. You can pre-order
it.
And actually, a total side note, but Charlie from the Dream Foundation, who's a dear friend of mine, I am donating 100% of the proceeds from the book. Not my profits, like a lot of people do. Like, oh, well, after this, and this, I'll donate $2 a book. Like when you buy the book for $25, I'm donating $25, which means I'm coming out of pocket to join you and making a donation to the Dream Foundation in order to start a new part of his foundation in honor of teachers. And my mother, who passed away when I was 8 years old, was a teacher. So that's very, very important to me in my life, is taking care of teachers who they're buying their own damn school supplies for their classrooms. Most of them could never even afford a vacation. I mean, it's sickening to me. So we're going to make their dreams come true. But in the book, Uncommon Leadership, Coach Saban is chapter 1. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So if you get sloppy in one area of your life, you're going to get sloppy in another. And just hold yourself to a standard, not allowing your feelings to dictate how you show up. The same standard that you say, I am finishing 75 hard no matter what it takes. Treat your business the same way. Treat your professional life the same way. And it'll amaze you what you can accomplish in a day.
No, I did an entire podcast episode, one of my Mike's Monday motivations on this, like life after 75 hard, because most people like 75 days and they fall way off the wagon and they don't know how to get back on, or they don't know how to refocus. I'm like, look, take the same activities and take 2 45-minute blocks a day and dedicate to something in your life that needs your attention. Maybe it's your kids, maybe it's your business, maybe it's an employee, maybe it's your customers, maybe it's your systems and processes, maybe it's your social media, maybe it's your content creation, whatever it is. Take 2 45 minutes a day and focus on something that needs your attention. And you'd be amazed at how much you can get done with 45 minutes intention. But I think it's because there isn't public shame about it. When you tell somebody you started 75 and you fail, everybody else now knows that you don't have discipline. When you fail in your business or in your home life, very few people acknowledge or see that. I think 75 hard has this social stigma now that, you know, you see people posting every day when they're checking the little things off on their app and sharing the IG stories, but you don't see anybody talking about the day they failed and why. You don't see it. You just see them stop posting like, oh, that program was too easy. Oh, was it? No, it wasn't working for me. It was too easy. Clearly it wasn't too easy. Right. And so I think that social stigma of, if I dedicate to me internally, or I dedicate to 75 hard externally, that external motivation helps them show up every day because they don't want to tell people that they failed. And they don't have that same light being shined on, did you do your unrequired workout? You post about it because you're trying to be the example for people to live up to. But most people don't have that level of, I call it self-respect. Like, you respect yourself too much to let the people around you down. And so I don't know. I think that's what it is. But if everybody were to take the same 5 tasks and dedicate to something else in their life every day for 75 days, a lot of problems would be solved, like in marriages, in parenthood, in business, with friends, with family, like whatever it is. Like, spend 90 minutes a day working on something and tell me it doesn't get better.
So one of the things that I did after 75 hard the first time was, there's a Microsoft app called Microsoft To Do. And I loved having the little circle to check the box. That I created it so I can do it myself.
Yep.
So now when I'm off 75 hard, I'm still checking the boxes every single day. And I actually have been teaching a concept called Your Prize Fighter Day, which is part of our mental toughness playbook. For 15 years, I've been teaching a prize fighter day. 15 years. So I've been living it. But even me going through 75 hard, a guy who's working with some of the top performers in the world on mental toughness, I found that by clicking those boxes and getting those shots of dopamine, it felt great. It made me want it even more. And so those are little things that once you complete the program, to your point, rather than just accepting or going, I did it, and going back to your old self, what are the things that you're never going to do again? And I created also what I call the never do it again list. I shared that with you. And it's a list of 14 things that I remind myself of every single day that I am not going back to as a result of completing this program.
So I think you might find this somewhat interesting, but the first time I did 75 hard, the app wasn't out yet.
Oh,
so
wow.
I used notes on my iPhone. You wouldn't understand. You're an Android user. But I used notes on my iPhone, and I put the bubbles, and I created 75 notes in a folder, and I literally followed by all. If I go back, all my pictures are in there. Every workout I did is in there. And so I did the same concept because I did it for the first time with spring 2019. It wasn't out. The app wasn't out yet.
Wow. See, so you knew, being as disciplined as you are, like, I need to be able to experience this little victory when it happens. And that's, a lot of people, they take things out of context, right? They, oh, well, this person says all that matters is winning, don't celebrate. It's like, no, don't go throw a freaking parade down the street because you did what you said you were going to do for the day. But there's nothing wrong with checking a box, celebrating for a couple minutes, and say, you know what, it feels pretty damn good that I said that I was going to do what I said I was going to do. Tomorrow I'm going to go do it again, and start stacking those days on top of each other.
But I literally tracked every workout, every picture in a note for 75 days.
It's awesome.
But I think it's as much the enjoyment of checking it off as in I know what my weaknesses are. So like a lot of people that follow me know I talk about Asana all the time. Asana is a task management, project management application. I run all 3 of my businesses through this. I've helped about 25 businesses implement this into their ecosystem. But it's as much about overcoming my weaknesses as it is about the enjoyment of checking it off. I know that when I'm in the zone with you, I'm not thinking about anything else because I want to show up for you. So I literally have to find a way to deload all of the to-dos, all the risks, all the anxieties, all the things that need my attention. I have to be able to put it down, but I have to be able to go back to that spot and pick it back up at some point. So for me, like the app or the check the box or the Asana is about this is my dumping zone so that I can focus on what's in front of me, my kids, my wife, my customers, my podcast, but then I can go back and pick it back up, because if I don't have that, I will lose track of it. I will become disorganized. I will drop balls. I will not get things done. I will not be able to do what I say I'm going to do. And so those programs and those check the boxes are as much about the enjoyment of checking it off. For me, it's almost more about being able to live life not worried about what I'm forgetting. Because I have a rule. I'm either immediately accomplishing something or immediately putting it into Asana. You ask me to do something for you, I literally put it into Asana on the call because I'm not immediately doing it. Right? As a salesperson, I learned this. You have a lot of inputs. You have emails, text messages, DMs, phone calls, subs, clients, vendors, leaders, whatever. I have, as a salesperson, especially somebody who's socially driven through social media, there's a ton of inputs, right? And I can't always stop what I'm doing to address those things. And I found myself, oh God, I forgot to get, like, waking up in the middle of the night. Oh God, I forgot to get back to that person. So this is a protective mechanism for me. I either immediately accomplish the input or I immediately put it into Asana. It literally takes 2 seconds. And so for me, it's a mechanism of protection. Like with 75 Hard, it was, I'm not going to forget this because I'm going to look at this list 17 times a day.
That's right.
It just became part of my routine. But you're right, though. The checkoff, clicking the bubble, it does have an impact.
So going back to this burn concept, imagine if you started your day and you said, I'm going to check the box. I'm going to check the box that I connected to what truly drives me every day. If somebody consistently does that, you are going to win more in your life, period. There are far too many people who they wake up. I always say standard over feelings. That's in the book as well. Don't allow your feelings to dictate how you show up. Choose to dominate the standard. Understand your standard that's going to make you great to win. So most people, they wake up and they go, gosh, yesterday was so bad. I really don't feel like doing it today. My body is so sore waking up. I don't feel like working out. And we go through all of these statements around why we don't want to do something, as opposed to when I wake up, I say my mother's name, Janet Fishman Newman Legacy. I've got a legacy band on my wrist. I write it down in a journal. It's the alarm on my phone. There's no going back to bed. When I realized that I'm a 42-year-old man and my mother passed away at 38 years old, fighting to make ends meet as a single mom. Later, my parents were divorced and I was 6 months old, rare muscle disease. I've been given 4 extra years of life that my mother never got, and I'm going to choose to waste the day? No, I'm going to choose to continue to write the story of her legacy one day at a time and be intense the way that I am with individuals like you that are listening, because I know if you connect to what drives you the way I connect to my opportunity to continue to write my mother's story, you will show up differently in your life and the story of your life will change.
So you have an incredibly powerful burn, right? You have a lifelong burn like that. The story that I heard about your mother and your approach to life because of it is never going away, right? That's not changing for you. The question that I kind of always wondered, because I think it's happened for me a little bit as well, because I don't have that as much of a deep rooted burn. How does it change, or how do you allow it to change, or how does it morph over time as you progress down the quest of life? Like for people that they have it now, but maybe it isn't as fierce later. Like for you, it's going to be fierce forever. Like you force it to be fierce for you. But not everybody has that same deep rooted lifelong quest. How do you work through, or how do you allow, or how do people make sense of the fact that your burn is likely going to change over time, and like letting go of the last one for the new one, if that's even a thing that you would think is possible? What's your opinion on that?
I'm so glad you brought up this point, because it's something that I get so intentional about mine that sometimes I forget that there's a large percentage of people listening who that is the case. They haven't been through the challenge and adversity that I've been through. And I hope that they don't. You know, losing your mom 11 days before your 8th birthday, I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. And then having to go through the pain that I went through, my father moved back into the house and struggles and challenges with him, wouldn't wish any of that upon anybody. Some people understand that pain. Some people, your pain is way worse than what I've experienced in my life. So you understand that deep-rooted forever connection. For those of you that don't have that same question, grab your future and bring it to today. Or what is it that you're fighting for? Maybe there's somebody that is sacrificed for you, and that's what drives you. Maybe it's to be an example for your kids, be an example for a friend. It also can be monetary. I am not a big proponent of the monetary because I want people to go deeper. But here's an example of what potentially it might look like for people if it's not clear to pick something to operate in short windows. So a financial advisor client, I was down in Orlando doing an on-site coaching visit. And I remember he's like, man, I've never been through what you've been through. I don't know what my burn is. I'm not clear on it. And I said, well, what's something that you're working hard towards? What's something you're excited about? Well, we're currently building a house. And I want to build the dream house for my wife. I literally want it to have everything. If she wants the special knobs, I want her. So I said, okay. So I said, you're willing to work even harder now so that she can have the knobs, the kitchen, everything that she wants in this house. And he said, that's it for me. I said, there's your burn. I said, if you wake up every day and you say, I'm going to give it everything that I've got because I want my wife to have this house, that is your burn. Fast forward a year later, I'm back in Orlando, same firm, same financial advisor. Dude looks at me. Dude, my burn, I don't know what's going on. I'm having trouble connecting to my burn. I said, well, the issue, and it's part of it is good, part of it is an opportunity. Your house is freaking beautiful. I saw the pictures. I said,
you did it.
I said, bro, I saw the pictures on Facebook. It's an absolutely gorgeous house. It looks perfect. It looks like a dream house. The problem, you're in the house. You didn't go and connect to another burn. It's kind of like you said, you did 75 hard and you went back rather than going, what's my next 75 hard? So I said to him, I said, what's next? I said, don't trip on anything that's behind you. For those listening, if this is a new concept to you, great news. You've all accomplished great things in your life already. I'm just saying you might accomplish more if you connect on a deeper purpose more consistently. So we helped him connect to a new burn, but he had to reset it. And so his was monetary, still cool, wanted to have the house for his wife. So it's monetary, but it had purpose to it. But whatever it is for you, don't make an excuse. I don't have any idea, no clarity. That concept isn't for me. The concept of connecting and controlling your mindset to attack to be your best every day is not for you. Give me a break. I mean, if you want to give me that excuse, I will just tell you straight up, you will have difficulty being successful in anything that you do in your life.
That's amazing, man. You know, for anybody who's been listening to me, I've been pretty open with the fact that I've been, over the last year or two trying to figure out, because my mission in life is to have an impact with every conversation I have. That's easy in here. It's harder when you're trying to build bigger and build longer and bigger visions. And even you asked me, figuring out your why, because you set a pretty substantial growth goal for me for 2022. And when we mapped it out, it's very attainable, but it's going to take a certain level of attention to detail and discipline that even brings me to my next level. And, got to figure out the why. It's something that even I've struggled with, but I think you've helped. And I have a few other coaches in my life that have helped create clarity. And I think the concept of pulling your future forward is my biggest takeaway from this conversation, because it allows you to center yourself in where you want to be and not where you are. And then it allows you to say, I want to get there. I'm excited about getting there. I'm ready to focus to get there. And monetary or impact or purpose driven, it doesn't really matter. It's, I want to get to that thing. And I think, dude, I look up to you for a reason, bro.
Well, really I appreciate that so much and appreciate your words. I got to make one correction of you and what you just said in front of all of your listeners. You said, I gave you a goal. Your consistency in your behaviors and your intensity in what I saw on that stage and the relationships that you already have and what you're doing, you just hadn't given yourself permission yet to go for that goal. That was your goal. You just didn't give yourself permission. I just helped you see the goal a little bit more clear that you absolutely can achieve that. And I think that goes back to how we started, which is, for everybody listening, imagine if from this conversation, you guys can tell Mike and I just have a natural connection. We've known each other like 3 weeks live, right?
Literally.
Other than literally like
I've known you for 2 years. I'm that creeper on Instagram that never really engaged much, but yeah, 3 weeks.
But literally we've known each other for 3 weeks. But when you have a level of respect for somebody who shows up and does what they want, Mike is going to connect to his burn. Mike's going to make the change. So for you listening, let's go on this journey together. I'm going to keep connecting to my burn. I didn't tell you I have it figured out. I got 2 coaches. I read books every day. I'm going to keep connecting to my burn every day because it works. I'm going to keep doing what I said I was going to do every day because it works. And so for all of you, it's the same thing. And then give yourself permission to go just attack those big goals and go run your race. Don't worry about somebody else. You just take the opportunity to win one day at a time by looking in the mirror and saying, I gave it my best today. It's going to change your life.
Well, Ben, if somebody wants to engage more with you, they want to hear more about you, where do they find your content? Where do they connect with you? Where's the best outlets for those?
So bennewman.net is our website. At Continued Fight is Instagram and Twitter, which are the most probably consistent places that I am on social media. And then the new book is Uncommon Leadership. It's available on Amazon right now, along with a handful of other books that I've written.
I pre-ordered it and I ordered all 3 of the other ones. So
thank you, brother.
I'm about to dig into a little bit more about how you think so I can relate to you better as my coach, because I think it's important to better understand more about how somebody thinks outside the, the hour we get every week or every other week. So I'm excited to dig into you a little bit more and learn more about where your mindset and approach comes from so that I can relate to it a little bit better. But guys, go engage with this, man. I've been like literally following him for over 2 years. So I'm definitely fanboying a little bit right now, but this was an amazing episode. I think if you can't listen to this and take action, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, if this wasn't enough to help any of you listening understand more about how to go through this process and figure it out, hire a coach, like one-on-one, get deep into it, get a mentor, get somebody in your life who can touch you and really make something happen, because it is incredibly powerful, at least for me personally, when I got clear on that and better understand why I was doing what I'm doing. And I'm getting more granular on it every time I have a conversation about it. But Ben, I really appreciate you spending the time today to be on this and help my audience kind of advance themselves to their next level as well.
I appreciate you, Mike, and all your listeners, and everybody, just one day at a time, continue to win fast and win often.
I appreciate you. Look, you see it? He's paying attention, everybody. All right, you guys go out there, win fast, win often, and I'll catch you guys next week.